35-point blowout. 35-point blowout. I needed that. And I guess all the Heat needed to do was come back home to FTX Arena and completely redeem themselves. Hello, hello. Welcome into this victorious edition of Donno Daily. It is Hump Day episode of Donno Daily here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Food tastes better. Water tastes better. The air that I breathe just fills my lungs with happiness on a day like today after the Miami Heat smash. I couldn't have said it better than Ian from Brooklyn. Sup, Donno? Hope your son is feeling much better. He is feeling much better. Heat smash. Although the thing is, he's 4 years old, so he's had a cough for like 3.5 years, which I think all kids at that age, like he's cough. But other than that, he's doing fine, my friend. Happy to see everybody in here. I'm Max. I picture him typing this out in his best singing voice. Can you feel the heat down in your soul? Feel the heat down in my soul. Can you feel the heat down in my soul? Can you feel it? Feel it? I feel it. It's Miami Heat. He says, okay, I was worried about nothing. IMAX says. I said it on previous episodes, last 2 episodes when the series was tied at 2. I wasn't actually thinking the Heat were going to lose the series, like that flip-flopper JJ Redick, who just completely changed. Has he changed his mind again, by the way? I haven't seen anything he's done since last night's game. He's a coward, okay? I think he was a little bit bitter because his friend Duncan Robinson wasn't getting into games. Duncan played 14 minutes last night. Let me pull up Duncan's stat sheet. I know he hit at least 1 3 last night. Oh, yeah, he went 1 for 3 from 3. So he hit a 3-pointer. He got the building all excited, and I'm happy. Listen to me. They were cheering for Duncan Robinson. They know he's been through a tough time, not playing, making 90 million. I mean, I would hate to be paid $90 million not to work. It sounds like a terrible existence, but having not played the last handful of games, the crowd was behind him. So I don't know. Now that JJ's buddy Duncan got some PT last night, is JJ Redick flip-flopping back to the Miami Heat? I don't know. That's something I have not seen yet. But my heart needed it last night because I had been having enough palpitations in recent nights watching the Heat, lose a couple games at Philly, watching the Florida Panthers with all their drama to win in overtime a couple of nights ago. I just needed a blowout dub. I needed a blowout win, and the Heat provided it for us. Some of you watch the national shows the day after a Heat game to make yourselves angry. I watch them to laugh, okay? Anytime the Heat win a game in these playoffs, when they're beating Atlanta 4 out of 5 times, you watch First Take, Undisputed the next day, and the narratives are all completely backwards. Like, instead of, hey, look at how good the Heat looked, it's like, how come Trae Young isn't playing well? And now it's like, most nights it's been, how come James Harden is washed up? Well, what's going on here? And then, man, coming out of last night, and again, when you're watching these national shows, don't watch them for Heat coverage because you get the opposite of Heat coverage. They just cover the teams the Heat are beating. Like they just cover the teams that the Heat are beating. So don't watch these shows thinking you're going to be enlightened on the inner workings of Heat basketball. That's why you watch 5reasonsports.com. That's why you come to us, not to them, because we actually tell you what the Heat are doing right instead of everything that these other teams are doing wrong. But yeah, what the other team was doing wrong, very much the narrative today. So this has everybody talking. Joel Embiid, who, his return games 3 and 4 in Philly, he was obviously instrumental in the Sixers winning those games. Now, from a Heat side of it, if they could have hit a few of their 3-pointers in either of those games, maybe we're not even talking about Joel Embiid, because I do want to remind you, game 3, the Heat were 7 for 30 from 3. Game 4, 7 for 35 from three. Now, game five, it wasn't like it was a 3-point explosion, but they were competent from beyond the arc. 13 for 33. That's a lot better than 7 for 35. It's 39.4% last night. And I knew pretty early on we were in for a better experience, right? And the Heat took control almost instantly, first quarter. Jimmy was engaged. Max Strus was engaged. He hit a couple of early threes and like, okay. So in game four, none of their open three-pointers were falling. It was just one of those nights where there's like a reverse magnet around the rim. It's just repelling everything, right? That's how it felt in game four. And then in game five, when you actually start hitting some of those looks and the home crowd is charging you up, I knew things were going to be getting better for Miami. And Max Strus played a great game last night. But, you know, that's not who the national guys are talking about. The national guys are talking about Joel Embiid and his minus 29. That's the worst playoff plus minus of his career. Like he led the Sixers with 17 points. So if you just like you look only at the box score, you're like, oh, that's not a terrible game. Minus 29, it's bad. And obviously, when you get blown out by 35, nobody's going to have a good plus minus on the Sixers. But that was the worst of his career, and it is incredible to me and incredibly funny to me the type of mental gymnastics that I see people performing to try and figure out all the reasons why Joel Embiid didn't play well last night without giving the Heat a shred of credit. Like, that's the last place that they go to. Like, the last place that they go to is actually giving the Heat some credit for their defense. I've heard a couple of theories since last night and listen, you guys know every now and then I put on the tinfoil hat. I channel my inner Alex Jones. The globalists are out there, folks. All the elites, Soros, Hillary. You know, I entertain some conspiracy theories sometimes, but these just make me laugh. So, and honestly, I have not been living on social media for the last 16 hours the way some of you do, because I just had a lot to do this morning. Not to make it sound like my time is so much more important than yours, but I've had a busy day already. I've not been as engaged on the interwebs as some of you. So you might have heard more ridiculous theories that I haven't heard, but I've heard since last night that Joel Embiid played badly because he is either rebelling or sulking because he didn't win MVP. That's why he played bad last night. Huh? What part of that would make sense? You really think that a professional basketball player is going to play badly on purpose to pout about an individual award? Wouldn't the natural response to that be to actually play even better to make the haters regret not giving you enough respect instead of saying, these guys don't think I'm that good, I'm going to play really bad, I'm going to show them? Like, it just doesn't even make sense. I was watching, and I don't recommend this if you want to make yourself smarter, but if you want to make yourself a little bit dumber, I recommend watching Undisputed on Fox Sports 1, because I heard Skip Bayless bring up something. And to be fair to him, this wasn't his theory. He was like talking about somebody else's theory. But I heard this theory that Joel Embiid played badly because he's rebelling against Doc Rivers. And like, again, it's like, you can't give Bam Adebayo some credit for his defense. Eric Spoelstra did last night. He talked about how Bam, who, didn't light up the box score last night, because unfortunately the box score just doesn't really tell you the full story. Bam last night had 12 points, 6 rebounds. So you look at that, you say that's a pretty pedestrian night, but the individual work that he did on Embiid was goddamn exquisite, if I'm being honest here. So, you don't give the guy who, came in 4th place in defensive player of the year voting, probably should have been a little bit higher than 4th place. You don't give that guy credit for the opposing center not having a good night. Instead, you're like, well, that opposing center who didn't play well, he is engaging in an individual form of on-court protest. Like, he's so upset about climate change that he decided, you know what, puts a lot of carbon into the atmosphere, rebounds. So I'm not going to do too many of those tonight because I don't want to hurt the ozone layer or whatever the hell any more than it is already. Like, the mental gymnastics that people are going through to give anybody credit but Bam or the Heat is crazy to me. My only personal regret coming out of last night, a 35-point ass whooping, right? Where you come back home to FTX Arena, home cooking, everything feels great. The only problem that I had, and this is going to sound ridiculous, but this is the life of a sports bettor, okay? I didn't want the blowout to be as bad as it was because I had Jimmy Butler over 25.5 points. He ended up scoring 23, but the problem was when you start giving playing time to Highsmith and Yurtseven late in the game, you start to realize, well, we don't need Jimmy down. Like I was begging Spo through my put Jimmy back in. I need Jimmy back in the game. I need some more points. So Jimmy, he only ends up playing 35 minutes last night. I just needed one more jumper. Well, I guess I needed another 3 or a jumper at a trip to the free throw line. Like I needed 3 more points to hit the over. He had 11 points in the first quarter, Jimmy. So I'm kicking my feet up. I'm good. So yeah, you can say I mushed him or whatever, but if me mushing Jimmy Butler means the Heat win the game even more comfortably than I hope that they would win it, then I guess that's okay. And I did win a bet on the Heat money line last night. I didn't have the balls to play the 2.5-point spread because I was like, maybe we'll win the game by a point. So I did bet Heat on the money line very comfortably. I wasn't worried about that one whatsoever. So I did win a bet. I lost a bet, and I lost a bet because the game was too much of a blowout. So that is really my only complaint. All right, in just a second, I'm going to bring in Ricky J. Marc, who I don't think anybody else can help us break down that butt kicking better than Ricky can, who's such a great friend of the show. We got something cool going on. I was talking with Ethan earlier today, and you guys know the official daily fantasy sports provider at the 5 Reasons Sports Network is Prize Picks, right? If you haven't signed up for Prize Picks already, today is the day, guys. PrizePicks.com, Prize Picks mobile app, and use our code 5. That's FIVE. Now, there are 3 reasons to use our code 5. There's usually 2 reasons, but today there's 3 reasons on 5 reasons. There's 3 reasons. So use our code FIVE because A, we get the credit for your sign up, and we love the credit. B, you get a 100% deposit match up to $100. So why not double your money? And C, Ethan told me we have a special promotion running. So if you sign up at prizepicks.com today with our code 5, send a direct message to the 5 Reasons Sports Twitter account. Ethan is the one who runs that. Send a screenshot of you using the code 5, FIVE. Send the screenshot to Ethan at the 5 Reasons Sports Twitter account. He's going to send you a t-shirt. So you get a 5 Reasons Sports t-shirt. You get a 100% deposit match, and we get the credit for your sign up when you use the code 5. So FIVE at prizepicks.com, and make sure you're following our guy Taco About Sports because he's got all those Prize Picks selections that he gives you every single day, and he's been doing well. All right, let's bring him in. The man, the myth, the legend. What's going on, Ricky J. Marc? Did you need that 35-point blowout as badly as I did, just so I could relax on a weeknight finally?
Oh, I'm backstage screaming. Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, yeah, Miami could have used it. I mean, at halftime during the halftime streams. What is it? What's it called?
Paces and Spaces.
Yes. I did mention that whoever won Game 5 would win the series, and lo and behold, Miami won Game 5 and did so handily. Oh, yeah. Oh, I can't wait to talk about this with you.
So what were you first tell me, what were you yelling about backstage?
You know, the Bam versus Embiid stuff, like Joel Embiid had a broken face, a concussion, a re-aggravation of that broken face, and a busted finger, and still produced more than Bam Adebayo did last night. I don't want to start off on this side or whatever, but
Dare you?
I can't help it because it's like, look, 7'2", 300 is gonna dominate 6'9",
Oh, for sure.
250. If 7'2",
but wouldn't you
is...
say though? But wouldn't you say, just to be fair, more credit should go to Bam than credit given to Joel Embiid playing bad on purpose to protest the MVP?
Oh, well, I mean, if those are the only two things being
Those are the
measured,
only two options.
which, I mean, realistically, it's not just that, but sure, for the sake of this argument, yes, more, more credit goes to Bam, of course, but realistically, Bam can't stop JoJo if he's like fully healthy and pissed off. You know what I mean? Like
I hear you.
we can't do that because like I remember some of those games he had when he came to Miami and when the dude was dealing with a respiratory infection. Those times, like yeah, but all right, we got that out of the way. You know, like yeah.
Here comes realistic Ricky Alejandro.
Yeah,
Says.
I mean, no, but I'm ready to talk about this though. Like we're in good position. Yeah, let's do this, man. It's just that I couldn't. My tongue was bleeding. I'll just say that much from the bite.
Okay, so well, I guess let's start here. The Heat have not lost a home game yet in these playoffs. Philadelphia looked very good at home for the two games that they played there, even though, again, the Heat needed to hit a few of their 3-pointers. So what are you expecting in game 6? Are the Heat going to close the deal, or is this going to be one of those series? And Pat Riley was the one who said this in 1981, that a playoff series does not begin until a home team loses. So the Heat could actually finish this series without ever starting it, or do you think they get that clinching win on the road?
I think it's Heat in 7.
I agree.
I agree. I mean, I know Heat fans want to be like, yeah, let's finish this. It's over, man. They're demoralized. Yeah, maybe. But honestly, look, I think Philly's going to have one last gasp. JoJo's not the type of big man that'll just be all sad and depressed and then put up a stinker in game 6. I think he's going to come to play in game 6. Thank you, Alejandro. But the reality is, I think what might happen is they have like a one last stand in Philly. However, and this might sound like hedging, so forgive me, I could see Miami finishing it off once and for all in Philly. I could see how that works. I think they figured something out. I think Eric Spoelstra has made the necessary adjustments to neutralize Tyrese Maxey. Because if I'm not mistaken, I think he started sticking Jimmy Butler on him in the last few games, and that's really affected how Maxey's been able to get into his offense. I was worried when Kyle Lowry came back because Maxey would run circles around him, especially since Lowry had a bad hamstring. But I think that's disrupted many aspects of Philly's offense to the extent that they haven't been able to get into it. And I want to say one thing about offense versus defense. The shots didn't fall in Philly. That's true. The stats show it. But Miami also shot around 37% last night from deep. So it wasn't like they were
39%. Give them some credit.
Oh, 39?
I crunched the numbers. Yeah, 39.
Sorry, 39. I mean, it could be a lot better, but I think the most important thing for this Heat team is not so much the shots falling, but the defensive intensity. Because Philly dropped 116 points on Miami in game 4. They scored 85 last night. Do I expect Philly to average 80 points a game for the rest of the series? No. But great defense creates easier offense, at least in my book. And I think Pat Riley and Eric Spoelstra will agree with me on that. I think as long as Miami's defensive intensity stays the way it is, that's what will bring them to the promised land. Those shots aren't always going to fall. Jimmy's not known for being a knockdown shooter. And we know what's been going on with Duncan and Max Strus and everything, but I think the defense is what really is important. If they can bring their home defense into Philly, it's going to get ugly in the city of brotherly love.
I love Max Strus a lot, and he was massive yesterday. Not literally, but figuratively, he was massive. I mean, 19 points, 10 rebounds. He didn't light it up from 3, but I will take 4 for 10. He hit a couple early ones. I will take that over the way the Heat were shooting in previous games. What did you think of those 28 minutes from Max Strus last night?
I've been a Max Strus guy for quite some time now. I think it was that game against Toronto, the same night KZ showed us what could have been, where he basically earned his spot on the roster and started the Duncan Robinson is expendable conversation. Max Strus he's a trooper. I mean, even though he doesn't always hit those jumpers, he will help you in other ways. He competes on defense. He's not the greatest defender. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like he's a lockdown one, but he's harder to move out of the way than a Duncan Robinson, who will stand there and watch somebody sail past him for a rebound. It's just the way it is. I think Max Strus could potentially help this team a lot more moving forward after Duncan Robinson has moved in the offseason. Oops. But
I almost didn't catch that. That almost went right over my head.
Right. He's a lot more playable in a playoff series than Duncan Robinson is, because he can help you in more than one way. And if you can't play a guy in the playoffs, he can't help you.
Right.
He can't help you, because this Heat team is about what we're doing right now in May, one game away from the Eastern Conference Finals, and potentially more than that. This team is built to win a championship, theoretically speaking. If you can't fit that mold, if you can't help the team do that, it's spelled Hogwarts with a T, by the way, Dynasty. If you can't help the team do that, you're in trouble. The door's right there. Riley will ship you out.
By the way, so I love this narrative where people are there to, and you do. I agree with Alejandro. I think you do have a lovely home. Every time I see your broadcasts, I'm like, man, there's, you look smart because he's got the books behind him, and there's a lot of like foliage outside the window. But somebody did say, I think they're probably commenting on the chandelier, that it looks like you're broadcasting from Dracula's library. Is that like a 19th century chandelier? It looks old.
I think they're triggered by the fact that I'm going to look like this until I'm 50. We don't age. Some say maybe it's magic. For me, it's melanine. Shout out to the Maybelline commercials. But realistically, I mean, I'm 31 years old. I look 10 years younger. Life is beautiful.
You do.
I moisturize.
Yeah.
I occasionally dabble in some of Therapist Preferred, our sponsors' products, to help me keep me regular.
Is that a CBD based?
CBD based. Use code 5RSN. You'll get around 20% off. There you go. Shout out to them. And not only that, I'm in a much better place now than I've been in quite some time. So I look a lot more refreshed and relaxed and things of that nature. And I drink blood. So there's that. There's that.
Ricky J. Marc is with us. So a notable absence last night. Kyle Lowry didn't play. Re-aggravated the hamstring in the previous game. Now he didn't look right, especially in Game 4. And my thing has just been that he was affected. Probably came back too soon from the hamstring. I do think it threw off the Heat's rhythm that they had developed without him a little bit. So. I think assuming the Heat do advance, the next series is a new chapter, and you may just be able to reintegrate him then without skipping a beat. But I think for this series, even if he is healthy enough again before 6 or 7, I think he probably should be done for this series. Do you agree?
Oh, 100%, Donno. You don't bring him back until he's absolutely healthy. The margin for error in terms of production, especially at the age of 36, with a guy that's not known for big playoff performances, and Kyle Lowry, it's very slim. And you cannot bring him back unless he's absolutely ready, because he will throw a monkey wrench into the chemistry of this team. If you remember this entire regular season, whenever someone comes back, there's a small step back for the team in terms of how they perform. Sometimes they go on a little bit of like a tough, maybe 2 out of 3 games. They struggle. They might win a couple. That's how it is. And here's the thing. You cannot throw away games in the NBA playoffs. One game could decide a series. Let's look at Milwaukee Bucks versus the Boston Celtics. I'm sure Heat fans everywhere are super happy that they're beating the heck out of each other right now, which in a series that could very well go the full distance, 7 games. They could have gone up 3-1 in Game 4. That could have brought a premature end to a pretty competitive series. But instead, they went cold down the stretch. They played with their food, and they woke up Al Horford, son of Tito Horford, and now it's 2-2. And now they are facing a similar situation to what Miami was facing just before last night's game started, where you don't want to make a mistake, end up going down 3-2, and then next thing you know, you're a game away from elimination. I'd rather not play facing elimination. I'd rather be the one forcing the other team to potentially lose. It's not that I'm afraid of pressure. It's that anything can happen. Injuries can happen. COVID can happen. Ask the Oklahoma City Thunder shortly before. No, was it the Thunder? No, the Clippers. Excuse me. Paul
Clippers.
George got traded. Yeah. Before that play-in, they lost them right before the game, and they were SOL. We can't risk that. And Kyle Lowry needs to heal up as quickly and as safely as possible, because the reality is he's 36 years old. That hamstring ain't going to heal the same way. We need to understand that. And he's not Tyler Hero. He's not Bam Adebayo. He's not like if he unfortunately suffered the injury that Bam suffered earlier this season, he'd have been out for the season. I mean, it's biology. That's just how we are when we age. The older we get, the slower we heal. It's nothing against.
Yeah.
It's just the way we are. So bring him back safely. Bring him back when he's ready, because having him just out there as a unofficial decoy, it's not going to help this team. Just play Gabe, play Victor Oladipo a lot better, and roll with it, because right now Miami, their defense can get them to Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals.
Amen to that. And yeah, I should remind people that we are 8 wins. Is it 8 or not? 9 wins down? My math is so bad. 7 wins down, 9 wins to go for a title. I had to do that painful quick math in my head. 7 wins down, 9 more wins until a championship. Okay, so let's talk about that other series, that other dogfight in the Eastern Conference. Who comes out of there?
Oof. That's tough. It could go either way. Honestly, it really could. Game 4 proved that. I had the Bucks winning that game. They were ready to win, and then they woke up. The Celtics woke up. I think the Bucks win a tough 7-game series that goes the full distance, but given how close these teams are to one another in terms of down the stretch when it really matters, money time, it honestly could go either way. I wish I could give you a better answer, but it really depends on who shows up and who delivers down the stretch. If the Bucks go cold late in the fourth quarter and the Celtics capitalize on that, if Jason Tatum goes cold and goes an entire half without scoring, and the Marcus Smart is unable to perform because of his nagging injuries, and Jaylen Brown is unable to do what he does, and that's right for the taking for Milwaukee. It really could go either way. Like, I wish I could say ask me after Game 6, but man,
I'll ask you after Game 7.
Yeah, there you go. That's better. That's better. It could be very tight. I see it going the full 7.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I think the Bucks have the best player in the entire series. And if it came down to it, I would probably go with Giannis over Jason Tatum. As amazing a scorer as Tatum has been, Giannis is a guy that, 50 points in a championship clinching win. He's an all-timer. He proved that last year, and I think he has enough left in him to prove it again in this series.
Yeah, and I would honestly, I would love the opportunity to knock either of those teams out in the Eastern Conference Finals, because I don't like the city of Boston. It's a lovely town, but I don't like their whole sports vibe, and they've done enough winning over the years. We got to knock them down a peg. And then, the Heat have unfinished business against Milwaukee. They shocked Milwaukee in the bubble. Milwaukee humiliated Miami last year in the first round, so I would not mind even the opportunity to hand them a playoff series L. Now, about a couple weeks ago when you joined us, or maybe it was early last week, you made your prediction on the Heat, which some may consider a bold prediction. I think it was just a prediction where you had the Heat winning the NBA title. Are you wavering from that at all?
No. No, the Miami Heat are going to win the NBA championship this year. Is this my camera? Should I look directly into the eyes of the viewers?
Camera one. But a lot of people want you to look into that mirror to see if there's a reflection, because the whole vampire thing, we can't see anything in that mirror except the window.
I would like for the general public to please stay out of my personal affairs, to respect my family's privacy at this moment in time, and to mind their own business. To quote John Kennedy, not John F. Kennedy, because he ain't here. Why do you care? Why does it matter? It's my takes that matter, not my mortality status. I'm just saying. So there's that.
I love it. And Ricky is my kind of vampire. Like I thought years ago, my wife made me watch those dopey Twilight movies, and it's like it's ridiculous how because the vampires that I believe in are the ones that you walk out in the sunlight, you burn up. That's it. Right? The Twilight vampires, all that happens is like their skin sparkles in the sun. Like, how weak is that shit? Like, what is that? It's the stupidest thing ever.
It is. I was forced to watch, I think it was Breaking Dawn or something like that against my will.
Oh, I watched the whole. I don't remember any details from it because I was not paying attention. But my wife had me watch the whole series. This was like a decade ago, but I watched the whole series.
Was this before she became your wife or after?
Like right after, and then I tried to file for an annulment.
Yeah.
But the state of Florida did not, believe it or not. I would have thought that like forcing your husband to watch Twilight is worse than like infidelity or whatever.
Yeah. No,
but
it is.
No,
in California, but not here.
Unfortunately, that was my problem.
Yeah, this is a pro-marriage state for whatever that means. That's something else altogether. But yeah, no, it was brutal. The one defining moment in that film for me was when they were up on that mountain and they were really cold, and Bella was like freezing or something, and Edward couldn't. Was it Edward or Jacob is the wolf?
Okay. Oh, he was the wolf.
Yeah. Edward couldn't warm her up because he's undead, and Jacob snuggles up next to her and says, he looks straight at him and says, "I'm hotter than you." I'm sorry.
What a classic line that was.
I almost, like that one GIF or that one scene in Family Guy where Peter's like, "Nope, that's it. Nope,
yeah,
I'm done." Or Seinfeld where he's just like, "No, that's enough. I can't." Yeah, that was also me. Oh God, that was just so bad.
That's crazy. And I don't even remember what we were talking about before.
I'm in a dark place now because of you. Thanks. Now I'm back in that place. Heat, Miami Heat, or sports, or something, or Erling Haaland, or I don't know, something. I don't know what's going on.
That's anymore. A big story too, and a bargain at his release clause. That I mean, if it was open market, that's like a 150 million, 200 million euro transfer easy.
Yeah, he's someone I would have paid the $100 million transfer fee or whatever, as opposed to Jack Grealish, but. Whatever. Nothing against Jack. I just didn't get why we got him. It is
because he's English, and English clubs overrate English players. Like they think every and it's the same thing. Like I cover the Serie A in Italy, and it's the same thing. Like they overrate Italian players, and probably even worse in England. If you're English and you look like you might be able to play, 100 million quid, eh? It's like crazy the way they overrate these guys.
I mean, we were ready to pay, I think, 100 million, something like that, for Ankles. What's his name? The dude from Spurs, Harry Kane. There we go.
Ankles.
Yeah. And they said, no, we're not going to send him. And so we're like, all right, fine. We'll just win the league anyways.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, damn, that's tough. That's tough. I don't know, man. At this point, like I think I might have mentioned this before, I really am over it. I don't really care as much about winning the Premier League as I used to. We've won it 3 times already, and probably a 4th if we win today and win out the rest of the season, because I think Liverpool dropped points over the weekend. I want to win Europe, and hopefully Erling Haaland will allow us to have that striker type that will deliver for us late in a game when we need it, because we haven't had that. I mean, I became a City fan long after the 93-20 Aguero moment. So I've never actually had my own Aguero moment. There was one match, I think in the 2018, the Centurions campaign, where, Raheem Sterling was delivering like late game goals like crazy during a stretch. And there was one in like the 89th or 90th minute where he delivered a goal. There was also another instance a couple of years back in Champions League where Aguero delivered the winning goal against Spurs, but VAR pretty much ruined us.
Oh,
so
they always do, those bastards.
Yeah, so I don't have that moment right now, and like I was hoping that would have come against Chelsea last year, but it didn't. So I'm waiting for that. I mean, I'm not losing any sleep over it, but at this point, I'm hoping, because there's nothing else for us to win other than maybe the Club World Cup. We've dominated England. I mean,
nobody really cares about the Club World Cup, though.
Yeah,
it's something. It's a trophy. Champions League.
When the Sounders win, we Americans better be super obnoxious, because we're going to the Club World Cup after we beat Was it
Okay.
Pumas
Are
the
you
other day?
Sounders fan? I didn't know that.
I got love for the city of Seattle, you know, like they
Okay.
lost their
Okay.
basketball team. I've
Yeah.
written extensively on
Yeah.
that whole situation. And if the Sonics ever do come back, I will gladly become a fan of that team without question, because that was
Oh,
an injustice. It was an injustice what happened to them. And Clay Bennett knew what he was doing when he was getting ready to move the team. They were deliberately trading all the players away in order to lower attendance, to lead people to believe that no, the city isn't interested. And yet that couldn't have been further from the truth. If you listen to Jason Terry's interview with the Knuckleheads, the podcast that just recently dropped, uh, you'll hear him talk about growing up in that area and how crazy the basketball culture is up there. And it's just, Seattle deserves a basketball team without question. If I'm not mistaken, they're the 12th largest market in the country.
I
It
can
just
see that.
makes good business sense. I think the league could expand one last time to 32 teams, shut it down after that, and set up a team in Seattle and either Louisville, Kentucky, or Las Vegas. Now that gambling is really kind of getting up there in terms of how it's being
Like
regulated
it's
and
not
why.
only accepted now, it's embraced now.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like
exactly.
how much it's changed in like a 5-year span is
Hmm.
crazy. Like it
Yeah,
used to be any sports league talking about Las Vegas and it was so taboo, and now they're flashing like odds on the screen like during
yeah. I
games.
mean,
It's crazy.
you've got highly rated daily radio slash television shows being hosted by great sponsors like Bet US, for example. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
it's normal for that sort of thing to be in vogue, and it's true. Tony Two Times is absolutely right. They are a loyal sports town.
Yeah, I
Mariners,
think he's lived there or still does, Tony.
maybe
So he
okay.
knows. He knows better than
Yeah,
I. I've
the
been there, but
Sounders,
he's
the
lived
Legion
there.
of Boom, all of them.
Yeah,
Like I think it's the Sounders where it's like super loud in there. It's like
it is.
late 90s jazz, minus the racism. But it's just like it's crazy. Like I'd love to go up there and watch a Sonics game. I mean, to this day, Gary Payton's and Sean Kemp's numbers aren't hanging anywhere.
Oh, that's terrible.
Think about that, right?
That's
So
awful.
when the time comes, hopefully that is, properly recognized and acknowledged, because right now there's this idea that the Oklahoma City Thunder were once the Seattle Supersonics. False. They are a
Mm.
brand new franchise that were born in 2008, and to suggest that they were once the Seattle Supersonics is disrespectful to the city of Seattle, the Inland Empire area, and anyone that's ever called themselves a Sonics fan from 1968 to 2008.
That was strong. And I'm just like, I've been to Seattle before. I just like the city because I get sunburned very easily and it's always
Can't
cloudy
relate.
there. So it's my kind, you can't get sunburned there. It's my kind of town. Like if I walk outside in South Florida for more than a half hour, like I'm putting
Mhm.
aloe on later in the day. It's bad, man. So
Question, Donna, what's a sunburn?
be glad you don't have to know. Honestly, it's not fun. It's not
Um,
fun.
I can't relate because,
You're good, man. You
just
got
saying. Oops. But
you
I
don't want to
digress.
know.
Yeah, we went from Miami to Golden State to we didn't even talk about Golden State, but we went from Miami to Boston to Milwaukee to Seattle. A lot of green, a lot of green,
Yeah.
a lot of green.
Milwaukee's a place I've never been to. I've been to Boston, Seattle. Yeah.
I've
You ever
been to
been to Milwaukee?
Yeah, I have. So in 2018, a good friend of mine, Dana Elmson, shout out to you. I love you, homie. All right, gang, gang. I hadn't seen her since like 2011. Like we met like in college, and I hadn't seen her since then. And she was getting married to her longtime boo, Michael. Shout out to you, Michael Longton. I see you. And I was like, you know what? I got an invitation to the wedding. We had stayed in contact ever since she left for a better school. I'll say that much.
Hmm.
And I was like, you know what? I'm going to fly up to Milwaukee. I went up to Milwaukee. It was interesting. I mean, it wasn't like the other big cities. It felt kind of empty in a way.
Really?
It's not like they had like a subway or anything like that. It was that was an interesting vibe. I'd like to go back, perhaps during the summer. I'm told that's when the city like really wakes up. I went there. I went to the reception. I was unfortunately late to the wedding because, well, my Uber driver took me to the wrong side of town, and
Oh, jeez.
that was the same day as Heat Sixers. Ironically enough, Game 4. It was Game 4 Heat Sixers that Sunday where Wade was bringing them back, and they
Oh,
fell short.
yeah,
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 y'all
yeah.
remember that. I didn't watch the game, and that made me late. No, my Uber driver took me to the wrong side of town. And, I went to the reception. It was real cool. It's not the most diverse city in the world. Yeah.
I do know. Because I know one person who lives there, and he looks a lot like me. So I don't,
Yeah. So there's that. So I mean, I went to the open market, which was pretty cool.
Okay.
I stood out. I did very well up there during the 3 or so days I was up there. The cheese was pretty cool. I would go back to finish what I started. But that I did go. So yeah, I did go to Milwaukee. Would I go back frequently? No, I'll probably end up going to Sheboygan to see Dana and them, but Milwaukee's not exactly like on my list of places to visit. However, I got no issues with the city aside from, the segregation and stuff. But, Milwaukee, Chicago, I heard we've got some people up in Chicago in our network, maybe that they could probably use a visit or two. But other than that, it's, it was pretty cool. It's pretty cool. I mean, I'd love to visit more cities around the country. That's the furthest east, the furthest west I've actually gone.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
See, yeah. I've been all up the East Coast, all up the West Coast. I tend to skip the stuff in between. Like I've never even been to Chicago. I think like.
Oh, you mean real America? That's what you're skipping?
I've only been to fake America, I guess.
Oh, okay.
Well, actually, no. I have been to a couple states that are like more west, but I've been to Colorado and Utah also. But I've not really spent a whole lot of time in the Midwest.
Okay, I'd like to. Yeah, I really would like to visit those parts of the country. Once things settle down a little bit, once I'm finished with my PhD and I'm able to travel a little bit more, and I'll have the much more means to do that. I definitely would love to do that. I mean, I've thought about having a ranch in Montana somewhere far away from everything, like just away. Because I love my solitude. I love my peace and quiet.
Same here, man. The older I get, the more I appreciate that stuff, dude. Because like me, 10 or 15 years ago, I'm like, I could never live in Montana. Now I'm like, God, I want to live in Montana so bad.
Yeah. Like, I'd like to think I'm a good neighbor because our family, we don't make noise. You won't even know we're around. I can't stand obnoxious, noisy neighbors. Like, for example, a quirk I developed during the pandemic when I was still in Paris is I can't stand hearing my neighbors upstairs. So now when it's time for me to relocate, I will have to rent an apartment on the top floor. I can't handle that, and it has to be in a nice, quiet neighborhood. My friends over there, they're like, "No, I want to live with you. I want to live in a lively neighborhood," and it's like, "No, I want to live in a quiet neighborhood, a place where I can quote unquote retire to at the end of a long European day where I've been out there socializing with the people, all that other stuff." But
you're a man of the people, but not so much anymore. But you are a man of the people. And Ricky, thank you so much for taking the time, my friend. And make sure everybody checks out rickyjmark.com. And check him out on Twitter at RickyJMark. Ricky, thank you so much, man. And I'm sure, because I'm expecting a nice playoff run here, we will talk to you again next week.
Of course. All right. Looking forward to it. Thank you, Donno.
You too, man. Awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. I want to remind you guys before we run, we did, again, let me remind you, because we talked about Prize Picks. We've got a special promotion this week. When you sign up at prizepicks.com or on the Prize Picks mobile app, send a screenshot to Ethan Skolnick at 5 Reasons Sports on Twitter. You can slide into the DMs. I think they keep the DMs open on the 5 Reasons Sports Twitter account. Send a screenshot of you signing up with our code 5. And not only will you access Prize Picks, which is the official daily fantasy provider of 5 Reasons Sports, and you get a 100% deposit match, Ethan's also going to send you a 5 Reasons Sports t-shirt. You can win a t-shirt. So make sure you do that. Sign up at prizepicks.com or the Prize Picks mobile app. Use our code FIVE and send that screenshot, and you are eligible to win a 5 Reasons Sports t-shirt. Guys, make sure you are supporting the official sports book of Donno Daily, full-service sports book, fully available in Florida. BetUS.com, America's favorite sports book. Guys, I did win a bet on the Miami Heat last night on the money line. I also, though, did unfortunately lose a bet on Jimmy Butler over 25.5 points, only because it was such a blowout. He got to sit late, which it's great to get the win. I didn't need them to win by that much. But guys, I'm having so much fun every single night betting on the basketball playoffs, betting on the hockey playoffs, betting on international soccer, betting on UFC fights. It's all there at your fingertips at betus.com, including live betting on all of it. Sign up with our code 5RSN125, and they're going to give you a 125% sign up bonus. If you deposit $100, they give you $125 in free play money on top of your deposit. 5RSN125 is the code at betus.com. You bet, you win, you get paid. betus.com. Thank you so much to as long as he does not send a quarter deck gift card. So sorry, Brooklyn Rob, that the check bounced. Hello to Brooklyn Rob. Hello to David. Hello to Ian. And I agree, man. Ricky is cool. Ricky's one of my favorite guests. That's why we have him on so often. Kane's 1989 explaining to Ricky what a sunburn is. I've experienced way too many of those, man. Cloudy days are the best for me because I get sunburned way too easily. Let's see. Ooh, we just got a oh, Ray. Thank you so much for the super chat, Ray Grullon. Thank you so much. It says, howdy, Donno. The rumor has it that our Finns will play a Thanksgiving noon game against the Lions. I have heard that rumor as well. Oh, man, something I wanted to get to today, and I haven't gotten to it yet. Thank you, Shake Money. The viral Tua quote-unquote underthrow to Tyreek Hill on the practice field. Listen, man, you're throwing. You guys know I can be like, I get called a Tua hater sometimes just because I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid. It is what it is. It's hilarious how much of a narrative that's become on the Tua underthrow. Like non-contact practice drill, he throws a long ball to Tyreek Hill that he had to stop running to catch, and the internet is freaking out. I don't know what it's at now, but as of an hour ago, it had over 3 million views on Twitter, that video. The funny thing about it was, like, I'm not going to overreact or underreact to just a throw in May in practice. Like, who gives a what? Okay. Like, I'm not going to underreact to that. I do find it hilarious, though, that the Dolphins social media team put that out there in the first place. Like, you couldn't have found like a better highlight to throw out. You're opening yourselves up for your quarterback to get made fun of. I mean, that's a bad job by whoever tweeted out that video. Like, you don't see Cheetah has to stop running to catch that football, and it's going to become a meme, right? Because what do all the haters say about Tua? How's this guy going to get the ball to Tyreek Hill? He's got no arm. And then you tweet out a video of him under what appeared to be, the camera angle even sucked, but it appeared to be an underthrow to Tyreek Hill in drills, and that's the video you're going to tweet out? Maybe there is a conspiracy. Did they hire Brian Flores to start running their Twitter accounts? Like, this is what they're putting out there? You telling me that's the best example they could put out there of Tua throwing it to Cheetah? That's funny, man. And listen, I'm here for the Twitter banter, so I thought it was hilarious. Like, I thought it was hilarious that everybody's talking about that video. Like, I'm not offended by it. Our friend Tuanon was very offended by it, that video. I think it's funny, but I mean, the social media team, you've got to know better than that, because you got to know what the jokes are and what's going to fuel the jokes. And you fueled the jokes today. You gave the internet something to talk about today. You created a narrative where there didn't have to be a narrative. Shake Money, thank you for the super chat. You're too kind. He says, I'm calling it right now. Mike McDaniel is sabotaging Tua undercover. So McDaniel was like, guys, did you see that overthrow? I'm going to make him sound like a mob villain or something. Guys, did you see that overthrow, that overthrow over there? You got to tweet that out. Tweet out, or the underthrow. Tweet out the underthrow. And that's what they did. Crazy. Fernando, thank you so much for the kind words and for tuning in today. I appreciate you. A couple more quick shout outs. I don't, and by the way, something, I should have promoted this more last night. But I promote so much of my own stuff that sometimes I get behind it promoting some other people's stuff. I was a guest with TD Finn's Talk on his YouTube channel last night. I love that dude. I don't care that some of you Tua lovers are like, oh, TD Finn, he's public enemy number one. I find a lot of his takes refreshing, even if you don't agree with everything he says. He's an incredibly nice dude, and we had a really, really fun conversation. I think TD does a great job, and I was on his YouTube channel last night. So if you haven't checked that out, you want to fire that up and watch it. I would imagine it's probably one of his more recent episodes because we were live at 8:30 p.m. last night. So please check me out on TD Fins Talk because I think it was a great show. And like TD, he even told me he's turned over a new leaf. He does not speak any negativity anymore. So whatever opinions you may have had about TD, it's no longer valid. No longer valid. Okay. And also make sure you check out my other venture. I'm always humbled by how fast Locked On Canes is growing. I host the Locked On Canes podcast on the Locked On Network. I know a lot of you, if you don't already listen to and watch Locked On Canes, a lot of you are into Locked On Dolphins, Locked On Heat. They basically got a podcast for like every team in America. And I do the Hurricanes podcast, the Miami Hurricanes pod. We just launched our YouTube channel 8 days ago. We already have over 500 subscribers. I consider that to be awesome growth. And thank you guys so much. And we have the audio podcast channel as well at Locked On Canes. We talk Miami Hurricanes football daily, 5 days a week on Locked On Canes. So make sure you check us out there as well. I know Big Dan 305 loves it. I know IMAX loves it. I actually saw IMAX in the YouTube chat for Locked On Canes earlier. So I was happy to see him there. I know he's into it, which is fantastic. Tony 2 times, hello. Jose Cruz, hello. Thank you so much. That's going to do it for the shout outs because I got freaking like Zoom meetings all day. I don't know what happened. I've got 2 Zoom meetings within the next hour. I hate Zoom meetings, but I'm going to be all over Zoom the rest of the day. Want to thank you guys so much for tuning in, for making Donno Daily a part of your day. Even the Gators fans like Shake Money. I still love you, Shake. And yeah, we will talk to you guys again tomorrow, 2 p.m. on another episode of Donno Daily here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. See ya.